Hello guys, today we're going to be working on this Whirlpool. As you can see right here, this is a Whirlpool stove. Welcome to DIY Repair Now. Read all the warnings, and during this video you will see one or more of these icons to help you do this repair safe. And this is the one with 4 burners, and this is a dual burner. This dual burner is not working right. It doesn't matter if we lower the temperature, it's always on high. As you can see, we can change the temperature. It does not matter what temperature you set it on, it's always on high. This is the single one, and this one as well is always stays on high temperature. As you see, I'm lowering it down. I thought it was the knob that was in the wrong position, but no. See, put it on low, stay on high on a single burner. Then I switch it to the dual burner. I put it on lower setting. As you can see right here, here's low and here's high. Got it on low, and it's always like this. Looks like they haven't used this burner in a long time. That's why it has this thing, so it needs to be cleaned up. But yeah, you get the idea. We need to replace the switch right here. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now, because obviously the switch is not doing what it's supposed to. See, low, high, always on high temperature. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the stove out to be able to get to the back. And we're gonna look for the best position for you to work on. Look for the position for the best lighting, or you might need a flashlight. The next thing we're gonna do is disconnect the stove to avoid electric shock. Once we disconnect the stove, we're gonna get the best position for lighting. And we're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver. I have this screwdriver, which is 6-in-1. Has this tool right here, 1/4, and this tool right here, flat head, and Phillips, and 5/16. But again, we're gonna need the Phillips screwdriver. Again, always remember, disconnect the stove. You can use your drill with a Phillips drill bit as well. But right now, I'm using a Phillips screwdriver. Yes, for the purpose of this video. You have to remove all the screws except for this one. See, this one is no need because it has a cutout for the panel. And sometimes I also leave this too. But in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and remove them. Okay, now you're gonna pull like this, and then it will release from here. As you can see right here, all these switches are the same. The only different one is the one for the dual burner. The rest of them are, they're not exactly the same, but they are the same shape. Now the capacity might change because these two are small. They might be the same switch, but this one is bigger. So this switch is the next one that will go bad because it's the one they use the most, which is the 2 big burners on the front. This is the one that goes out more, but especially this one, because this one is a dual burner and is more sensitive, and the one has more uses and it's this blue one. You see, this one is different than the rest of them. So we're gonna go ahead and proceed to remove the switch. We're gonna go ahead and remove the knob. And again, Phillips screwdriver to remove the Phillips tiny screws. Now, on this repair, I turn it on to show you guys what it was doing. So it's hot, so if you're doing the same way that I'm doing it, make sure you don't burn yourself. Once we remove the switch, we're gonna go ahead and proceed to disconnect it. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to disconnect them, so we're gonna go ahead and use flathead screwdriver. Like so. Now we remove one side. Sometimes it's not going to bring this white piece, which you cannot get lost to position of the wires. However, I do one piece at a time, that way I don't confuse myself. But sometimes it's just going to be terminals. You're not going to have this pattern here, this white piece that is a L shape. So if you don't have this shape here, you might want to take a couple pictures before you disconnect anything, because you definitely not going to remember what color goes where. This is the new part that we're going to be installing. Here we have it. This is an aftermarket part, and it's very affordable. It cost me about $25–30, and you can get it on Amazon. There's gonna be a link in the description of this video that it will take you to the Amazon for you to buy this part. So go ahead and go to the description of the video, click the link, and you can get it right there. So go ahead and install. Make sure the terminals are going in correctly, because sometimes it can get in the wrong position. Once you get it in place, just supervise all of them, make sure they're going in the right direction, and then you'll hear a click. Now we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the other one, and you will do the same exact thing until you hear a click. Now we're gonna go ahead and put it in place and install the two Phillips screws and the other side. Now this is the way I do it, but you can have somebody to help you hold the switch on one end, and you can go on the front of the stove and install the screws. Remember, for this part you're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver, and look like that's it. Now, before we put the panel back on, we're gonna do some testing to make sure everything is working properly. You're gonna go ahead and plug the stove. And now we're gonna go ahead and test it. And as you can see, it's working the way it's supposed to. It's already turning on and off. If I put it on high, if I lower it down, it's supposed to turn off. That's the way it's supposed to work. Let's go again on the dual setting. And as you can see, it's in high because I have it in high. But once I turn it down, it's supposed to turn off. And then in low, it's supposed to turn on and off. That way it's meant to be to work. Now we're gonna go ahead and pull the panel back on, and we're gonna go ahead and do another testing. Remember that you plug it in to do some testing, but you have to disconnect the stove again to put this panel back on because there's electricity all the way around here, and you don't want to create a shortage, or you don't want to get shot, electrocuted with this panel when you're putting it back on. So go ahead and disconnect the stove one more time. Always be cautioned. This is very important. Now we're gonna need the Phillips screwdriver again, and we're gonna install the screws back in place. There's one thing I can tell you guys, all these are sharp edges, so wear some kind of gloves to do this repair if you don't want to cut yourself. You can also start them by hand, and then go ahead and tighten all of them at the same time. This is the old switch. All right, we got the panel back on. Now we're gonna go ahead and plug the stove back where it goes. Okay, let's do another testing. Just make sure everything is fine. As you see, I turn it on kind of medium, put it on low. See that? Just put it on medium. Turns on. Supposed to reach some kind of temperature, and then it turns off. That's the way it should work, not stay on high all the time. Let's put it all the way in high. Now in the high setting, it's gonna stay on longer, but eventually it's gonna turn off again because that's the way it should perform. You know, it's supposed to turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. And that's kind of the newer mechanism, and that's the reason why the burners that you use the most are the ones the switch goes out. However, in this model, the only one was acting up, and was this one. As you can see right there, even in high, turn off. Now it's gonna stay off for a little while, and once it reaches a different temperature, comes back on. This is exactly how it should work. All right, guys, that's it in this video. This was a success repair. All right, guys, if this video helped you in any way, you can show us appreciation by giving us a tip using the following options that you see on the screen. If you cannot provide with a tip, is another way to support this channel by just dropping off a comment in the comment section down below. Subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the bell to receive notifications. Thanks for watching.